If you are tired of constantly calculating how many calories are in your lunch while you're eating it or planning dinner based on how much you've quote unquote already had, this episode is for you because I know how exhausting it feels to constantly be doing food math in your head, even when you know that it's not helping you and it's just making you anxious and guilty. So today I'm going to walk you through my 5-step process to finally stop mentally counting calories so that you can eat the foods that you love without guilt and trust your body again. Make decisions based off of what your body needs versus how many calories you quote unquote should be eating. So this is such a good one. Let's get into it. Welcome to the Live Unrestricted podcast, a show where you'll learn how to heal your relationship with food and your body so that you can focus your time and energy on more important things like your personal growth. I'm your host, Sabrina Magna, food freedom coach, and my mission is to help make your life happier and healthier without stress, overwhelm, or guilt about food. If you love the show, please do go out and share it. And if you're looking for support with your relationship with food, details about my programs are in the show notes. Thanks for spending time with me today. Now let's jump in. Hi, my friends, and welcome back to the podcast. I'm so glad that you're here. And to everyone who is a new listener, a new member of the Live Unrestricted fam, welcome. I am so glad that you're here. I love when I get messages on DMs of people who are like, I just found your podcast and I've been binging it on my walks, and it feels so weird. I'm not going to lie, a little weird to me because I'm like, oh my God, I'm in these people's ears all day long, but also it's so special. So keep sending me those messages, and I have something really special for you. I know that I have a lot of episodes on the podcast. I've been doing this for almost 3 years now, which blows my mind how fast time goes. It's almost 3 years. We're celebrating our 3-year anniversary in December of 2025. I started in December of 2022. Crazy. Anyways, I have a lot of episodes. And a question that I get asked a lot in my DMs is, Sabrina, where do I start? Because we hit on a whole range of topics. And because I know that you might want to dive into the episodes that are going to go deep on certain topics that I know are going to be the most helpful for you, I have created a food freedom playlist. And what this is comprised of is my 3 most popular episodes so that you know where to get started. So whether you are a new listener or if you're just like, I want to get access to the 3 most popular episodes, you can go to sabrinamagna.com/free-podcast-playlist. And I'm also going to put that link in the show notes, but that's sabrinamagna.com free-podcast-playlist. All right, so let's get into the topic for today's episode. And just a little aside, I have been low-key sick for the past 3 weeks. And I don't know if it's just because it's like winter is coming and it's getting colder out. We're also dog sitting our friend's dog for 2.5 weeks while they're in India for a wedding that I was actually supposed to go to, but that's a whole other story. And I'm like a little bit allergic to dogs, but all this to say, I can't breathe out of my nose. So if at any point it sounds like I'm running out of breath, it's because I truly am. But we're going to do our best here because I am here to help you. And we're talking about how to stop mentally tracking and calculating calories in your head constantly. And I love my Food Freedom Academy members because you guys always give me inspiration for my podcast episodes. And this was a question from one of our members. And we actually had a coaching call this morning where I go through everyone's like questions in the Q&A form that they submit. And we touched on this and we went deep into this because I know when you have been counting calories for so long and you know what is in a tablespoon of peanut butter, and maybe you have all of these rules around how many calories you're allowed to eat in a meal, in a snack, in a day. all of the decisions that you have made around food have always been accordance to numbers and calories and macros instead of this internal decision from a place of self-trust, from internal cues, and from what you want and what's going to feel good for you. So in this episode, I'm going to break down my 5-step process for learning how to rewire your mind around counting calories so that you can finally eat without that little voice in your head always making you feel anxious or guilty or like this need for control around food and calories. And what I was telling my client this morning was that I used to track every single thing into MyFitnessPal. And I can still, to this day, if you were to quiz me on how many calories are in a tablespoon of this or in a third of a cup of this and this and this, if you were to quiz me on this, I have all of that information like tucked in the back of my mind. I still know it because I did it for so long and I was so obsessive with it. And so I want you to know that if there's a part of you that's like, I don't know if I'm ever not going to think this way because it's how I've operated for so long, I want to give you a sigh of relief that you can still have that information tucked in the back of your mind. Like it might not leave completely, but it won't be A, how you make decisions, and B, it won't be at the top of your mind when you're eating. When I'm eating, for example, I'm making a peanut butter jelly sandwich. I am not thinking, oh, there's 110 calories in one slice of bread and there's 100. Okay, this means there's going to be 90 calories. Like I don't think that way anymore. However, if you were to be like, Sabrina, can you tell me how many calories are in that PB&J? I could probably tell you if I really think about it. So there are so many things in your life that you know the knowledge, but it's not like at the top of your mind all the time. And you're not making your decisions based off of that. And it's not making you anxious. So I want you to know that there is a world and a life where you might still know the calories in food, but it's not going to be this constant mental noise in your mind. Now, another thing that I want to say is that when you're first starting to do this work, if you're doing it with support, then it's going to go faster. When you're doing it on your own, it might go a little bit slower, but what's going to happen is it's slowly but surely going to get less and less and less loud the more you learn how to repeat the steps that we're going to talk about today. So it's not going to be this overnight process that you're like, whoa, I just don't think about calories anymore. But the more you practice rewiring your mind and creating a new path of thought, the easier it's going to get to focus on what do I want to eat, what sounds good, what's a portion that sounds like what I need right now, instead of, oh my God, how many calories are in this and what am I going to eat next and all of that mental noise. All right, before we get into the 5 steps, one more thing that I want to recommend, which is going to make this process so much easier for you. And I hate that I'm even saying this, but it's meditation. And that's what I was asking our group this morning is this something that is in your practice or in your life? And the reason why I recommend it is because what meditation does is it gives you more control over your thoughts. Because when you're meditating, the goal is not to not think. The goal is to get good at redirecting your attention to your breath. And that's one thing I think that people don't understand about meditation is they think I wasn't able to do it. I was thinking the whole time. It's like, no, that's not, the point is not to have a blank mind. The goal is to notice when you start thinking and you move away from the attention on your breath and to bring the attention back to your breath over and over and over again. It's literally a mental workout. In the same way that when you go to the gym, you are lifting weights, you are getting physically stronger, and you're going to get stronger and stronger as long as you go. But it's not the type of thing where after 3 months of going to the gym where you feel really strong and you're lifting heavier than ever. It's not the type of thing where you're like, okay, I'm done. I've gotten to my goal. I've done it for 3 months. I feel so strong. I don't need to do it anymore. And meditation is the same. Luke did have that mindset. He meditated for a little bit and he noticed it was doing a lot of good for him and it was super helpful. And then he stopped doing it because he thought, well, I just don't need it anymore. But it's a workout. It's literally a mental workout. And the more you do it, the more you can have control over where your attention is, the easier it's going to be to change your thoughts, to change your thought patterns, to change what you focus on. Because most of you, and I say this with so much love because this is where I was before too, most of you believe everything that you think. Most of you don't question the thoughts that you have, or you let your thoughts have control over you. And so what we really want to do, like the ultimate hack to success in your life, because your thoughts create your reality. So if you have shitty thoughts, you will most likely have a shitty reality. The most important thing that you can have in order to have a successful life is the ability to redirect your thoughts. And this is going to matter when we're talking about redirecting your thoughts away from how many calories are in a food and towards, well, do I want to eat this food? How is it going to make me feel? What's going to happen? What's likely to happen if I don't allow myself to eat this food? And don't worry, we're going to get into that. But I just wanted to highlight that meditation is going to be your superpower. And again, every time these words come out of my mouth, I cringe a little bit because I used to make fun of people who always talked about meditation. And now I'm one of those people. So I guess it's a cult. I guess I am now part of the meditation cult. And you know what? I'm not mad about it. But let's go into the 5-step process. And I also want to say before we get into it that this is going to apply to you even if it's not necessarily the calorie counting, but it's a lot of the shoulds. I should be eating this. I shouldn't be eating that. This is a good food. This is a bad food. I'm going to gain weight. It's just like any of those thoughts that make you feel anxious and that make you make decisions around food, not from a place of calm and trust and peace and ease, but instead it makes you make decisions from a place of fear and anxiety and restriction and scarcity. All right. Step 1. This is the most important step. And I spent a lot of time on it during our coaching call this morning because most people are not talking about this. And it is. Before we do anything, before we do any of the rewiring of your thoughts that we're going to do in step 2 to 5, you need to give yourself permission to let go of this mental thought pattern that is no longer serving you. You might be thinking right now, Sabrina, what the heck do you mean give myself permission to? I obviously don't want to think this way anymore. Like, I just want to be free from this. But here's the thing. Remember, I'm going to repeat this every episode so this really gets drilled into your mind, that your mind, your body, your nervous system are wired for survival. They are wired to protect you. And so those patterns that are really sticky for you, that are hard to let go, even when consciously it's ruining your life, there is a reason it feels so hard to let them go. This is the same as like, let's say you weigh yourself every day, but you know that it makes you feel like crap. And you know that it negatively impacts your day and negatively impacts your eating habits. And you don't want to do it anymore. And consciously you have this goal, I don't want to do it anymore. But you feel this like compulsive need to get on that scale. It's the same thing. So when there are these sticky patterns in your life, they are doing something for you. They are protecting you from something. And as long as you don't create safety around letting them go, then unfortunately your mind and your nervous system are going to repeat that pattern because it feels safer than the alternative. So I took our members through this exercise on how to release this feeling of danger that comes with letting go of those patterns that are no longer serving you, and how to create safety around the changes that you want to make in your life. So that is the first step, is you have to give yourself permission and create safety around letting it go. Because if you don't do that, then the things that we're going to do in steps 2 to 5, they just won't work. They're going to continue to be just like this knowledge, this information. But every time you're going to try to apply it, you're going to get frustrated because there's going to be this resistance. And I'm sure that you've experienced this before. Maybe you even listen to this podcast and you get so much information from it, but turning that knowledge into applied knowledge, into wisdom and transformation, that's the part that's difficult for you. And that's because you still haven't created safety around making those changes in your life. So I hope this is all making sense for you so far. All right, so step 1, give yourself permission to let it go. Let go of the mental calorie counting. Now we can go into more of the meat of it, because once your nervous system is on board, then steps 2 to 5 are going to be much easier to do. So step 2 is you are going to identify the thought. So this is why meditation comes in. It is much easier to be aware of what you're thinking, to be aware of what your thoughts are when you've meditated, because that's literally what it teaches you to do. That's what it forces you to do, is to be aware of your thoughts. So that's why, like, as I'm going through the day, I've been meditating for a couple of years now. It's really easy for me to catch my thoughts. It's really easy for me to catch like a negative thought, a disempowering thought, and to ask myself, do I want to continue thinking this way? Because clearly it's limiting me and it's making me believe that certain things aren't possible or that I can't do it. And so we've got to rip that shit out. That can't stay in my mind if I want to create something amazing in my life. So the second step is you're going to identify what you're thinking and what you're feeling. So let's say that you are at a Thanksgiving dinner. This is a good example because American Thanksgiving is coming up for my American friends. And so this is going to be helpful for you. Let's say you're at Thanksgiving dinner and you've just had dinner and they come out with a dessert. And it's this like gorgeous, delicious looking apple pie or pumpkin pie. We're going to use pumpkin pie because that just sounds better for me right now. So there's a pumpkin pie and you really want to have a piece. And your mind immediately goes to, oh my God, there are way too many calories in there. And you start to feel anxious and you start to feel guilty or you start to feel fearful because now there's this internal fight that has been triggered within you. You want the pie, but there's too many calories and now you're anxious, but now you want it, but you don't want to let yourself have it. And it's like that angel and devil on your shoulder. And we have all been in that situation, I am sure. So what you want to first do is you want to identify what you're thinking and what you're feeling. So create distance between you and your thoughts. I notice that I am thinking that if I eat this piece of pie, then I will blank. Because it's not eating the piece of pie that's the scary thing, right? It is what you are making it mean. That's the scary thing. Eating a piece of pie is neutral, right? It's not good or bad. But there is something, there's a meaning that you are making here. There's a belief that you have that is causing the anxiety or causing the fear. So you want to identify what that is, because even just bringing awareness to it without judgment, just with pure curiosity and neutrality, bringing awareness to it helps you to deconstruct it. It helps you to challenge it and see it for what it really is. When you don't do this, it stays in your subconscious mind and then it just like rots from the inside out. And then you're just consumed by anxiety and guilt and you don't fully know why. So you're going to really notice, I am afraid to eat this piece of pie because there's probably X amount of calories in it. And I believe that if I eat it, then maybe I'm going to gain X pounds overnight. And I really want you to get clear on how many pounds do you think you're going to gain overnight? Because we want to get stupidly specific because there's something going on in your mind. So how many pounds do you think that you're going to gain overnight? Or it might be, I'm afraid I'm going to eat this pie because once I eat this pie, then I'm going to just open the floodgates and I'm going to eat everything in sight and so on and so forth. So follow that train of thought. What do you think is going to happen? What are you thinking? What are you believing? What are you making it mean when you're starting to feel consumed with the guilt or the anxiety or just like the common pattern that you experience when you think about calories? All right. Step 3 is that you are going to investigate your thoughts. Or in other words, you are going to challenge your thoughts. When's the last time that you did this? That you actually challenged your thoughts as if you are a lawyer in a court of law and you have to go objection and find any reason as to why maybe this isn't true all the time or that this thought is just not serving you and it's not going to produce positive results. So for example, it might be that once you notice, I'm thinking that if I eat this piece of pie, I'm going to gain 5 pounds overnight. Is it true that by having a piece of pie, which is maybe 500 calories, 600 calories at most, that you are going to gain 5 pounds overnight? No, it's not true. Is it true that once you eat this piece of pie, your entire day is ruined and you're a failure or whatever you might be saying in your mind? It's not true. And another really important question, and this is a big one, you want to ask yourself, what is likely going to happen if I don't allow myself to eat this piece of pie? Like really walk yourself through that scenario. Because what you might notice, if you're anything like me, is if you are now like your mind is on that pie and you're going to see everyone else eating it around you, if you make the decision not to have it because you think that you shouldn't, like this is important because there's a difference between making the decision not to have it because you're full and you know that like, oh, you know what? Having that piece of pie is actually not going to be the most loving thing to me because I'm just going to feel like crap after. The intention matters. Sometimes I choose not to have the piece of pie because I'm like, oh my God, this is not going to make me feel good. And the most loving thing for me to do right now is just have a tea instead. But let's say that the intention, the reason that you're not having that piece of pie is because of how many calories there probably is in it, or it's coming from fear and scarcity. really walk yourself through what is probably going to happen. What's probably going to happen is you're going to watch everyone else eating and you're going to feel sad. You're going to feel #sadness because you wish that you were eating it. And then maybe what's going to happen is that when no one's watching, you're going to sneak into the kitchen and you're going to have a few bites and then you're going to come back. And then you're going to sneak back into the kitchen and you're going to have a few more bites and then you're going to come back. Then you're going to go back and forth and back and forth. And then before you know it, you're going to have eaten the equivalent of maybe 2 to 3 slices of pie. You are going to feel like crap. You're not even going to have enjoyed it because it was all done in a very sneaky way. And had you just allowed yourself to have the piece of pie from the very beginning, you would have enjoyed it. You would have been able to do it without guilt. You would have been more intentional with it, and you wouldn't have overeaten. Or maybe you would go home and binge on whatever you have at home later because you would have created so much tension and deprivation within yourself. Or you would think about pie for the rest of the week and end up binging a week from now. Like, you know your patterns. You know what tends to happen when you tell yourself that you can't have something because it's quote unquote bad for you. And the decision is coming not from a loving place, but from a place of fear and anxiety. So that is step 3, is you are going to investigate your thought. You are going to challenge your thought. You are going to pretend that you are a lawyer and you have to disprove your thought and your belief. Step 4 is you are going to reframe and come back to the present moment. This is one of the things we're talking about this morning, is that so often, I would say 99.9% of the time, the anxiety that you feel around calories is rooted either in the past, oh my God, I've eaten so many calories today, or in the future on what is this going to mean? What is this going to do? What is this going to trigger? So on and so forth. So you're either living in the past or you're living in the future. And that's another reason why meditation is so helpful, because it helps you live in the present moment. And I promise I am not sponsored by meditation. It's just so helpful. And I wish that everyone would do it, because I think we would live in a better world if everyone did meditate and had more awareness of their thoughts. But that's another story. So when you can reframe to something that is going to be more helpful and more positive and more empowering and help you feel more calm and more trusting and bring yourself back to the present moment, then you get to make decisions from a place of inner wisdom. So, for example, asking yourself questions like, what's a better, more accurate thought or belief? For the pie, for example, it could be, I can eat this pie and it will not impact my weight. Because it's true. Eating a piece of pie is not going to make you gain weight overnight, right? There's so much like talk and diet culture and obsession over the singular thing. But the reality is that your health and your weight and your habits and all of that is this compilation of choices made over time. So what's a better, more accurate thought or belief? And try different ones on like it's a t-shirt. Some are going to feel good. Some aren't going to feel good. Other questions that you can ask yourself is, what's a slightly less extreme and more neutral way to think about this? If this belief weren't true, what would I believe instead? If a friend had this belief, what would I say to them? What belief feels better? So it could be, I can trust myself to eat this piece of pie, to enjoy it, to stop when I'm full, and that's it. It's not going to ruin my day. It's not going to ruin my health. It's not going to ruin my body. And what you'll notice is when you have more empowering thoughts, more neutral thoughts about how you want things to go, that same situation is more likely to go that way. If you tell yourself, I can trust myself to listen to my body. I can trust myself to eat slowly. I can trust myself to really be present with my food. Then you're literally planting a seed in your mind so that when it is time to eat, that's more likely to happen. So that is step 4, which is to reframe and come back to the present moment. And step 5 is you repeat that. So you repeat the process of identifying what you're thinking and what you're feeling when that anxiety around calories come up. You challenge it, you investigate it like you're a lawyer. You reframe and come back to the present moment, and you do this over and over and over again. And what's going to happen is, I'm not going to go too much into the science of how your brain is wired, but your thoughts and your beliefs get hardwired in your brain, which is why it feels easier and more automatic to think thoughts that you have thought so many times before, because that is a path that is well traveled in your mind. So to create a new path, to think something different, it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take this repetitive practice of noticing that you're thinking about calories and choosing to turn inwards to what you want and how your body feels over and over and over again. And what you're going to notice is, as long as you stay consistent with it and you stick with it, it's going to slowly start changing your experience around food. There's other things that you can do to speed up that process. And we have this 4-step method called the REAL method inside of Food Freedom Academy that helps you speed up that process of rewiring your mind. But that repetition and really committing to letting that go, giving yourself permission to make these changes in your life, that's what's going to get you to move away from this constant focus on calories and good food and bad foods, and towards listening to your body and making the most loving decisions for yourself. So let me repeat those 5 steps one more time. Number 1, give yourself permission to let go of the thought patterns that are no longer serving you. Step 2, identify the thoughts, the emotions that you're currently thinking that are making you feel anxious or guilty or whatever it is. Step 3 is to investigate, to challenge, to go against the thought, to find evidence as to why it's not true or why it's not serving you. Step 4 is to reframe, come back to the present moment. And step 5 is to repeat. So my love, I want you to practice that, to apply it. Send me a DM on Instagram and tell me exactly how you are going to be working through this in your own life, or what was your biggest takeaway from this episode. You can find me at Sabrina Magna Health on Instagram. If you want to have access to my Food Freedom playlist with my top 3 podcast episodes so that you can start diving into those, you go to sabrinamagna.com/free-podcast-playlist. I had to think about that for a second. Or you can also send me a DM on Instagram with the word playlist, and I'll send that over to you. I love you so much. Have a great rest of your week, and I will see you on the next episode. Hey, real quick before you go, if you're loving this podcast and you're thinking, Sabrina, I want more. I want to go deeper. I want a step-by-step process for healing my relationship with food. I've got a free workshop that literally walks you through it. It's a full breakdown of the exact method that I use to help my clients stop binging, heal emotional eating, and finally feel at peace with food and their bodies. It's totally free. So if you're ready to stop feeling obsessed and out of control with food, head to sabrinamagna.com/training or find the link in the show notes. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. If you found it valuable, I would love if you would share it with someone you know that could benefit. If you're loving the show, don't forget to subscribe over on Apple Podcasts so you don't miss a single episode. I really love hearing feedback from you, so please leave a rating and review over on Apple to help us get in the ears of more people who need it the most. Finally, come hang out with me on Instagram at Sabrina Magnan Health for more educational content and get up close and personal with me. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you on the next episode.